the founder and CEO of Northern Wildflowers. We grow and sell native wildflower seed and vegetable seed, and we're all about Canadian grown products and food security and Canadian agriculture and that sort of thing.
Nice. And my name is Charles Mackay, and I am the Program Events Coordinator at Notre, which is a business development service that is set up to support young entrepreneurs across the country.
Awesome. My name is Rachelle Rocha. I'm a pharmacist here at Seasons Pharmacy and Culinaria, which is where we're situated here today. I'm in a partnership with my good friend Lori Pennell. So we were both pharmacists for 20 years at Loblaws. That was an interesting place to work because they were always on about how they were a health and wellness destination. And at a grocery store, you could buy everything. And as the operations person for the pharmacy department, I was thinking, this is not a health and wellness destination. You're selling the poison and the cure, because that whole middle section of the grocery store, all that packaged food, all those preservatives and chemicals in the food, is like not actually real food. It's an edible food-like substance, and it's making us sick. You know, all of the processed food, and because we're so far away from our food source, which is the farmer, right, and the local. So when I left there, we decided we would open a pharmacy, and so this is the place that we opened. And this pharmacy has a food store, it has the medications because we need that, but it also has a commercial kitchen, which is where we're sitting today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You know, what's the purpose of a business? What's the purpose of a socially responsible business? But that's my role here today. I'm a pharmacist. I left into entrepreneurship, and I have to go to the pharmacy for a minute. This is Gates, so I'll be right back.
My name is Gaetanne Larocque. They call me Gates or Mama G. I am a certified Red Seal chef. I am an educator of food. I am a personal chef. I am a TV personality. My role in society, I guess, would be teaching people how to manufacture their own food, networking regular Joes with farmers, and teachings, but not ordinary just classes, but teaching anybody in general about the quality versus the quantity type of mindset, and to stop putting a price tag on your food. Yes, we all live in a budget. Yes, we all have limited funds, but you can still be quite healthy on limited funds if you know how to process dry foods. If you know.
Hi, my name is Karin. I'm the executive assistant at Public, and I'm also a French liaison.
Nice to meet you, Karen. Hi,
I'm sorry, Karen, nice to meet you.
So my name is Gina Gegeoju, and I am the program and office manager at Novi. I get to work with Chelsea and Karen all the time, and I'm very happy that we've been learning through this research with Jenny, and I'm meeting Gates and Rachelle. So I'm looking forward to today. And do you know what? Anything with food inside already yields results.
Today is all of the local stuff that's available as maybe a little bit of inspiration for an entrepreneur thinking about starting a food business, whether it's with wild collected products like the ones that we collected in our first session and learned about, or whether it's with, you know, products you're buying in bulk from a local farmer, or if you're importing them, whatever it is you want to do. There's really interesting organizations and companies like Seasons that are partnering with entrepreneurs to do things a little differently, to showcase more of these products, but also to help educate the public about, you know, what does it look like to create bone broth? What does it look like to make your own sourdough bread? And just rediscovering food a lot more, and just taking a deeper dive into what's in our food.
Yes.
And that's something that Rachelle has done really beautifully here. And we have some of her products here. So we've got some beautiful sourdough bread on our platter here from hazel and rosemary. We've got some cheeses from New Liskeard area. We've got some locally made blueberry jam. Our tea is made with local ingredients. We have a beautiful hot sauce made from imported ingredients, but made by a local entrepreneur. So with lots of love and care and intention. We've got some tomatoes from Rachelle's home garden, some local honey. So there's a really vibrant food scene here. And there's so many really, really outgoing, really supportive entrepreneurs that would be very, very happy to help a new business owner develop their business.
For sure.
You know, and I think that if I was doing something other than selling wildflower seed, because I love food too, it's my other love,
Yeah.
which is why we have our veggie seeds too. But if I was starting a food business, I would look at something like this and go, you know what, I want to make jam. There's a great local company called That's Not My Jam. Her stuff is amazing and so unique. I would reach out to her and be like, you know, let's have coffee, let's have a chat, let's talk about your jam. What do you, if you could do things differently, you know, what would you do? And, you know, I want to make chutney. Do you think there's a market for that? And so, like, there's this ecosystem here that can help. You just have to sort of find the people.
And I love that because part of what we do is that I always say mentorship is like the key to everything else. It's just because you're saying like we're having Rachelle sit with us, having Kate sit with us, and all these beautiful initiatives that they're working on is also empowering other entrepreneurs. Just hear when you talk about your journey and like the reason why you started all this, it like empowers another person that might be afraid or like thinking about it, and like we want to encourage that and to encourage other like like the products we're consuming from all these different products and talk about. They are willing to have conversations with like these entrepreneurs and
What I've noticed in building a business from pretty much the ground up is that you really need to be connected with people because it's the people who support your business. So if nobody knows about what your business is, then how can anybody feel that it resonates with them and they want to help you? So what I'm trying to do and what I've been doing very successfully is this overlapping network effect. So I have a group of people who think I'm pretty interesting in what's happening here, but you have a group of interesting people that think what you're doing is really cool. So if we collaborate together, your people meet me, my people meet you, those people meet each other, and that this whole building community and this whole working together, we have this concept in our society that business is all about competition and beating the other guy. And what I've noticed, I have a new word, I call it co-opetition, and it's about all of us cooperating together because you can't do everything. So you have to figure out, well, who's doing the complementary thing, the thing that I'm doing? And how can we lift everybody's business together? Because I do really feel like the general public, we like going to the big box because we're financially motivated to do so. But idealistically, we all want to support the local business and the local farmer because we want the cool place to go. We want to go to that neat little coffee shop or the place that sells really cool stuff, right? But if we don't financially support those places, they don't exist. So what we're trying to do is not change culture, but to find the people within the culture that think what we're doing is cool and embracing it, and then they come and spend their money with us so that we can all be in business and continue to go. But what I love about this meeting that we're having today is, first of all, we're sharing some good food, so that always lubricates any conversation, and that because we never met before today. Like Jenny and I have known each other for many years. Her farm is near where I live. What I'm really excited about is that you all have come in here now today for the first time, and you're going to see a really different business. So before the thing opened, my husband's a pilot, so I've traveled to a lot of jurisdictions, and I always had in my head as a pharmacist that it's wrong to be profiting from the prescription department when I keep selling people bad food that's making them sick. And so, the world needs new solutions to problems. Like, we didn't end up with the state of culture we have by some fees. No, we just thought, okay, farmers can make more money if we plant a monocrop, and then monocrops do better if we spray stuff on them. And, we can make more money in the grocery department if things don't go bad. So let's invent preservatives. So we did all of this stuff because, 100 years ago, people were starving. So we needed to figure out how to ramp up food production. We needed to figure out how to preserve things. But here we are 100 years later, we're really sick as a culture. We have a lot of problems. So now it's time to rethink. It's time to rethink where is our food coming from. It's time to rethink is all the stuff full of preservatives a good thing. So my evaluation of that is it's not good. Let's go back to the farmer. So I open a new business. So this is sort of the entrepreneur in me is like, let's solve the problem a different way. So there's not a single pharmacy anywhere, and I know this because I flew to California and a few places in Europe, and places that I thought would have innovative approaches to health and wellness from a pharmacy perspective, and there isn't any. So here's the risk in business. If you go first on some idea, you might be alone for a long time. So there's like that there's that cutting edge of, can you be like ahead of the curve, or can you shift culture and go first, or you know, or should you just kind of go later and let somebody else go first? But if nobody ever goes first, you never shift the culture. So you have to have patience. You have to figure out how you're going to educate people, because that's now your marketing is an educational marketing. Why would you want to come and support this? Why would you go to a pharmacy that has a kitchen in it? Well, because you eat well, that's one. And then if your food tastes good and it doesn't require a lot of extra effort, then you feel like, oh, maybe I don't need to buy the marketing message from industry, which is let us cook for you. It's like, okay, we need to reclaim our kitchen. So the exciting thing about food businesses is that when you come from other places of the world, your ingredients are different. And we used to have a spice trade, and we should have a spice trade. We shouldn't have an animal trade. You know, we should be growing animals here and sharing the spices, and not shipping, you know, fish from wherever it's caught into the ocean back to China so the labor can be cheap to can it up and then ship it around. So like, we can catch fish in the lakes near Sudbury, but we need your inspiration for what would you flavor your fish with? Oh, what do we have growing here that's similar? Or can we trade for something and bring in that spice or that, you know, concentrated lime juice or whatever it is, and take our ingredients and give them that beautiful world flavor twist that you all can contribute. And from you guys, you need to go, okay, what is from around here? How can we prepare it in our ways so that we make this fusion, this food fusion, which is very trendy actually in the chef world.
Food fusion, what a concept. It's been happening for years, hundreds of years, to be honest. I think that one of the other things too, as part of being trying to get people excited, is to do things not only with our farmers but with our students. You know what I mean? How many high schools used to have home ec and it doesn't have home ec anymore? How many colleges, even just here in town, used to have food cooking programs where they don't have food cooking programs anymore? So there's nowhere except for the internet, or except for knowing people to educate the young, to say like, hey, this tea was all the flowers and the fruit in this tea were grown within 30 kilometers, where this water was imported from France. You know what I mean? They would think, oh, the water is healthier because it's water, but it's been in plastic and left a huge imprint of carbon. You know what I mean? Like, where this local, better, you're getting more from it than you are from that. Do you know what I mean? And it's easy for us adults to talk about it, and I find some adults have a hard time trying to educate a kid because, oh, they don't listen, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. Okay, well, they don't listen and they're this because they're eating that sugar. They're not getting enough sleep. And so that's a different subject, but to find mentors to educate young, and I'm talking like 17 and under type of thing, because a 17-year-old will take the concept, will apply it to themselves, and will take that when they move out of their house. Do you know what I mean? Because when it comes time for them to shopping for their own food, when it comes time for them to cooking their own food, you know what I mean? Even just cooking their own food. How many kids do you know take a frying pan or a pot and put it on high right away on the stove? Probably 90%, if not more, because they're quick, they're hungry, they want to eat it now. You know, like I have an 8-year-old and I want her to stop thinking like that. So now when she sees homemade iced tea or a glass of red fruité juice, she's going for that homemade iced tea, because she knows when she drinks that fruité juice, mom and dad just get mad at her. And it's not because she drank the juice, it's because of her reaction to that high fructose sugar, to that red food coloring. People don't understand that you cannot give this stuff to kids. Yes, their liver can filter it. Yes, their bodies can deal with it, but it's not how it should be. Do you know what I mean? Let them filter the fruit versus filtering the coloring, you know? And I think having mentors of all different kinds, Italian, Finnish, South African, Canadian, Indigenous, do you know what I mean? Kids need to be educated by the people who have patience, you know? And it's hard to find adults who have patience for
And who have a
kids.
story to share, right? Because I think this is what we're all trying to do now. We have excellent communication tools, we have excellent opportunities to meet people who come from other places, and this is the knowledge that needs to be shared. And there's a lot of business ideas in there too,
Yes.
right? Because it's one thing to identify a problem, like our sick culture, that's the one that we like. So Pete's works here, we work together. That's our problem that we're trying to solve, right? And the more successful our business is, the greater we can spread that message. And then we have to look at what other tools that we have to spread it. Well, a good experience in here is a good tool for building a business. But then figuring out how to go online, right? Because we're recording this conversation today so that future students or future entrepreneurs will be able to have a look at this information and sort of consider what we're talking about. But yeah, overlapping networks, outreaching to marketing. So then you gotta, marketing is a really important part, and that's just not how to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do, but how do you share information in a way that people are able to receive it and feel like they can act upon it, that they want to, and that they feel empowered to act upon it. So if I'm thinking about Sudbury, so we're in Sudbury, this is where this location is, and if I look at the food eating culture in Sudbury, so I've traveled a lot, and I've spent a lot of time in Ottawa, for example, or Toronto, just if we're going to talk about Ontario. And one of the reasons I like to travel to those places is I can go to an ethnic restaurant of any kind. And this is how I evaluate restaurants. Do I go in and it's busy, so it has to pass a busyness test, and does it smell good? Because if it smells like somebody's cooking, then I want to go there. If it smells like lemon cleaner and it's empty, I don't want to go there. So this is the rule, okay? So if I look at Sudbury, and I'm really pleased that now we have a few Indian restaurants, but there was a time when we had none, or one, and we had like one Japanese restaurant. I mean, there's plenty of room, I think, for new food businesses inspired by cultures from away to be successful here. Now, do I think you'll be rapidly successful? I don't know, because a lot of people who've never left Sudbury are not the ones that are going to go to your restaurant, or they're not the ones that are going to go online and buy whatever it is. What was that thing you were talking about earlier that you're going to make for us? The puffs, right? So anybody coming into this jurisdiction with a really innovative food idea from away, you're going to have to spend some time educating enough consumers that your business can be supported. Because there is this time when you have your fantastic idea, and honestly, it could be the best idea in the world. But if no one's going to pay you with money for that service or product, then you shouldn't go all in yet. So we need to think about how do we baby step this. So we have a lot of festivals in Sudbury. So I think a food truck at a festival is a good place, do pop-ups.
Yeah.
What we built this kitchen in this pharmacy with a specific intent of, there are a lot of good ideas, but it's really hard to ramp up because you can't rent a kitchen anywhere. First of all, you can't do it at your house and sell it because the health unit doesn't like it. And there's good reasons for that. But then, where are the commercial kitchens that you can rent to try your product? First of all, you have to get a recipe approved by the health unit, which means you have to have consistent processes and timings and all this kind of stuff. So you need a place to be able to develop your recipe. We have insurance in this building because we always thought it would be fun to have a commercial kitchen available where someone could be cooking something. And I think anything flavorful and aromatic from anywhere, as people are shopping in here or waiting for their prescription, now you have an opportunity for a teachable moment because they can't help it. They're gonna go, wow, it smells good in here. Don't we hear that every day?
Every
shift,
day. Every one of my shifts.
And then ones when you're not even here, we can go to.
Guaranteed every one of my shifts.
And mine too. Okay, we're not gonna argue about that. But that was sort of the goal of this kitchen, was to be having something happening here every day so that we could have a conversation and make somebody think a little bit differently about what they're doing. And so we have space. So if somebody has an idea, we've done this. So the bread that we're eating today, this is Meredith's bread. So Meredith found our store right away because she was the kind of person who always wanted to support local and go to local farmers. So she found us and she started shopping right away. Then COVID hit. So during COVID, there was no flour available anywhere in any of the grocery stores because everybody started to bake during the pandemic, including Meredith. So I was selling at the time organic flour. And at the time, and Garth, it's funny that Garth just walked in, but Garth was our first sourdough bread instructor. So the first classes we ran here were for making sourdough bread, and you paid a fee, and you learned how to make sourdough, and you ate sourdough because Garth started the day before making the sourdough. So you baked some, you made some from scratch, you went home and baked your own loaf. We sold the supplies and the flour. So Meredith took that class. Then the pandemic hit, so that was January, pandemic's in March. She had to take all of her meetings online, and you know, a lot of people didn't want to be alone at home anymore. So there was nothing happening in here. So she would set up her meetings over there, and we would bake here. So because I had the commercial kitchen, she was doing the baking here for her business that she started. And she didn't start with a business. She started with just, oh, this is sauerkraut?
Yeah, it's just fresh.
Yay, fresh sauerkraut.
Thank you, Gar.
Local business,
Garth,
Love this guy.
Garth is now teaching a sauerkraut class, so in 2 weeks we have a sauerkraut class. So this is bringing us a sample.
Get us some bread.
So just as an example, though, Meredith started baking here. Then the public health unit changed the rules so she could bake at home.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, she was just bartering her bread. So she would show up to the farmer's market, she would give a loaf of bread and take whatever, pumpkins or cabbage or whatever from the farmer. She was trading. And then her bread technique got better and better, and then she started charging for a loaf of bread. And then, so, you know, she started very small, bartering, getting people used to her, and she posts every day. So every day she's baking something, she's posting where she's dropped it off. So over the course of time, the word of mouth has spread, her social media has been very powerful. And even to this day, she sells now to not only to us here, she sells to Bureau of Natural Foods. She's part of some of these CSA farmer operations, so her bread ends up in the boxes that are going to people's homes on a regular basis. And she's hoping that one day she will have enough business that she can walk away from her day job. But this is the thing, if you don't have a wealthy investor funding your operation, you gotta figure out how to self-fund. So it's important to be very practical about how long it's gonna take. It'll always take longer. It'll always cost more money than you think. And your idea is still a good idea. What I found very helpful in Sudbury was the Sudbury Regional Sudbury Regional Business Center. There is a Sudbury Regional Business Center. I don't know if you talk about that in your program or not.
Yes, we do.
You do, because they had like statistics, like how many cars drive past this intersection. And so I could evaluate every physical intersection with how many houses are nearby, what's the demographics of the people in my neighborhood. You can tell some of that. I mean, I grew up in this town, so I knew this was an Italian older neighborhood. But Sudbury Regional Business Center will give you really good information about where you're going with your product. So it's good to do some evaluating and talking to people who are from the area to see what they think if your idea will fly. And it's, I think, good to be where other people are, right? So if you open a restaurant and you're only one with a restaurant over here, it seems like a good idea because you're all by yourself, but people are used to going over there to eat. So maybe you need to be putting your restaurant where other restaurants are, because people are always already going there thinking about food. And if this place is full and your place isn't, then they'll go to your place, right? So I don't know, I don't have all the answers to that. I'm kind of new to the food part. I just know that food is fundamental to health. This is why we have a strong food focus here. But there's lots of other people with greater expertise on running a restaurant. Those are just my thoughts about it, but the Sudbury Regional Business Center was very helpful to me in evaluating sites.
A really interesting maybe case study is Keiko, who runs Keiko's Kitchen.
Okay.
So Keiko, she has the most interesting story. So she does traditional Japanese food. But
Okay.
she started where she would have a bento box twice a week. You would pick it up at her house. You would pre-order, you would pay, and you'd pick up your bento box. She operated during the pandemic. And it was like, this is what I'm making. This is how many I'm making. So super low risk, you know. She'd have her pictures of what she was making. She'd talk about the process and all the care, like so much care and just so much intention goes into her food. It's insane. But she would talk about, you know, this is, you know, on this week in Japan, we celebrate children. So I'm making this week because this symbolizes, you know, things that, you know, make children happy. So there was a story, and she, in that way, she kind of taught this community she developed about her culture and her food. And now she has a restaurant,
What's your restaurant?
Keiko's Kitchen,
Where is
in
it?
New Sudbury. It's in the Montrose. Is it called? No, not Montrose. It's in behind. There's a Rexall pharmacy on Berrydown. It used to be Herbie's.
Oh, yeah,
Pharmacy
okay,
a
no
long
issues,
time
yeah, okay.
ago. So
Yeah.
behind that, there's all these sweets. Or there's like an Indian grocery store, Bombay Spices is back there.
Oh,
There's tons of little sweets behind that, so she's in there. And she doesn't need a lot of exposure because she has this crowd that will drive wherever in town she is to pick up her stuff.
No, that's like really good, and I just go back to what Rachelle was saying, that like you have to see a problem, right? And that's what she sold. She sold something, and that's like really crucial for entrepreneurs. like right now talking about Black entrepreneurs and some of them are immigrated from different countries. So your gateway could be like realizing that, oh, I don't have this food at home and this could benefit people in a certain way. And then be willing to be the first sometimes, to be the one person who goes first, but also she did give like some great pointers on how like you can start small, like keto, and then like having this bread. I think I'm gonna be eating this all the time.
This is really addictive. Like,
Yeah, and also like just looking out for, if you're like thinking about the food business, like looking out for the classes that you guys put out, because that's when Meredith came to a class, and like now you can come and learn something that you might be able to scale up because you've learned the skill.
and now that the following, so when Meredith and I first started, like it was year one for us and basically pre-year one for her. But now we have a big following. So if you came in now and you're gonna make, I don't know, what's your favorite Guyanese food that you could make here for us?
Guyanese will be trouble for us.
Oh man, I eat so many.
So it's basically it's rice, right? But you make it into tomato stew first. So you cook the stew, and you basically cook the rice in the stew to get that. sort of
Okay,
warm.
It's kind of like
So-
jambalaya.
All right, so you're gonna come in here, because now I have 3,000 people on my Facebook following. We're gonna do a free video, okay? You're gonna make this. We're gonna have a lot of fun, because I'm gonna be your sous chef. You're gonna tell me what to do, and we're gonna
Yeah.
make it fun.
Nice.
And people are gonna go, oh, cool. And then you're gonna say, all right, I'm gonna do a cooking class here. I'm gonna do a series of 3 cooking classes. There'll be whatever, one in December, one in January, one in March, whatever. Then you're gonna build, you have these cooking classes. There'll be like 10 people in each cooking class. Now you can launch your, I'm gonna run this now out of my kitchen, because it's gonna take you a month to get the healthy to improve your kitchen at home anyways, or figure out where you're gonna do your cooking.
Right.
But now you're not gonna start at zero, you're gonna start with a little bit of traction, right? But it's gonna help me too, because all of your friends who've never been here before are gonna, oh, I'm gonna watch you on the show, oh, that's only just across town, I can get there. And so now this is how we can launch products, and I think it's really neat. I'm already the only place that sells those amazing Greek olives, but it would be cool to be the only place that sells frozen.
Also, these
Fries, jollof fries, I don't know, whatever.
You
You
already
can't
forgot,
freeze
but
it.
once you eat
I
it,
know, once I eat it, I've never eaten it.
you can.
Oh, it's
So
not
if
the
you
best.
make it
What?
and then you freeze
When
it,
you eat
and
it
then
the next
you,
day is the
you know,
best.
well, you don't like the microwaves.
You don't have to microwave it, you can stick it in the oven.
Put it in the oven and it comes back to life.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that I hate the microwave, it's that I think kids are too dependent on it.
Yes.
And that parents buy too many convenience foods to shove in the microwave. Oh, just put in the microwave, you'll be fine. Listen, buy an air popper, don't put the microwave popcorn, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those little things.
Take a pot, put it on the stove.
I know, that's what I do, yeah.
Or even like the, you know,
So
like,
now another question that I have, because this is like really like it's you know when it's beginning to just like live this like
Start to
trail,
evolve.
which is like really great, because now we have this solution that Rachelle has, and it's here. So now can we do like, do you guys do already like education classes for like parents and like children, so that we can rebuild like, you know, the mindset around
Yes.
and begin to understand how it impacts like our health and why it's really great for people to.
I think all the classes in which we do here, we say all the kind of stuff as we're just going along. Do you know what I mean? Like, my classes, the youngest people I take in my classes are 6,
Okay.
and the oldest is I don't care. Do you know what I mean? And I think anybody under, because I trust my 6-year-old with a knife, so I'm cool with giving, you know, a knife to another 6-year-old. Not only does it empower that kid is now built a relationship with food
Yes.
right away. Versus, mommy, can you go get me? Daddy, can you make me some toast? Oh, I know how to use a knife. I can cut my own apple, thank you. Do you know what I mean? Like that I think is so important, because how you're gonna go home and you're gonna hear your kids talk to you now, and you're gonna hear the difference in you're gonna understand what I'm saying to you. When they come home from school, they're always hungry. Mine comes home, always hungry. Doesn't matter how much food I put in that lunch bag, that kid is starving when they walk through the door.
No, when I pick them up.
Oh yeah,
So
can
like,
we
your
go through a
snack.
drive-through?
Your
No,
car
no.
So
So
good.
It's really good.
what I want to do, and what I would love, I know I keep saying I want to you know, my goal is to teach children. But not only do I want them to teach children, but I want to teach parents that it's okay to give your 6-year-old a knife. Just don't walk away from them.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay to teach your kid how to use a stove and how to manipulate some stuff. Listen, I'm not gonna give my kid's different because I'm a chef and I've been teaching her since she can walk.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like she barbecues her own meat. She uses the grinder to make her own burgers. She rolls her own pasta out. Like my kid, but instead of investing my time in pizza bagels and waffles and all that kind of stuff, don't get me wrong, I still buy the odd Eggo, but at the same time, she'll flip her own pancakes. She'll do this thing. And what she did this summer, which I thought was so out of the minds of children sometime, genius comes from these kids. So, Mommy, this kid has never made, we're at camp. Here's the scenario, we're at camp. Mommy, my cabin mates have never flipped a pancake and I want to teach them how to flip a pancake. Okay, let's teach them how to flip a pancake. So I put it out because it's a non-for-profit camp, and I put it out there, hey people, I'm looking for plug-in Skittles and squeeze bottles, please. Within 2 days, I had 6 of them with aprons ready to go, and my kid was sitting there with squeeze bottles of pancake batter and teaching kids how to make their own pancakes. So they went home with a skill, and they went home with a less fear of a stovetop because it was small and contained, and they mastered it quickly. They didn't burn themselves, they didn't cut themselves, so there was no bad feelings associated with cooking. Because one of the things that parents do is freak out.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Knife.
Don't freak
Yeah.
out when you hand your kid a knife. They
Yeah.
cut yourself, just give them a Band-Aid. You know, you can't do too much harm with a little knife. What I'm trying to say is that if we could listen to what our kids, and I'm talking like 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, because they have great ideas too. Do you know what I mean? And they're the ones who, if I started my own business at 21 years old. At 21 years old, I was working a great job down in the Byward Market, and I asked my beautiful, amazing female boss in the chef world, which is a rarity in the 90s. It was a very heavily boys' game, but I asked her, I said, I would like a raise as I'm doing this much and I'm worth this much, and she couldn't offer it to me because of her reasons, which is fine, they were legit. So I said, okay, I quit, and I went down and I started my own catering company the next day. Now, I wanna, pardon the language because I don't know anything, we can bleep this out. I want kids to have those kinds of balls at 21 years old to be like, if you can't pay me what I'm worth, I'm gonna find somebody who can and who believes in my project and can help me grow. And that's what I think that we as local Sudbury mentors should be doing to our kids.
And I really like that, again, just like going back to what you're saying, and then having like those chances to teach about the different skills in terms of food, because with Rocha the other day, and there was this student who's like, oh, my friends are entrepreneurs and I really want to be an entrepreneur, but I just can't figure it out.
We
But
can't
I
have an
know
idea.
that- yeah, I don't have an idea. So part of what we want to do is like, well, for lack of a better term, is that like maybe breed or
100%
encourage
breed.
and like, you know, have them like learn about this. So it's one of those things that I'll be sharing with her, that like if you're interested in cooking, maybe check out these cooking classes. Maybe you can learn something that you can be able to scale up. So this is like such a great place, not only for business and teaching us how to eat healthy, but also be a really great place to like start breeding those entrepreneurs that like now we can have different local businesses that are you know, making this food that's like good for us. And so
It's
exciting.
Because your message, Gates, it fills in really well with the entrepreneurial piece around food. Because during COVID, I feel like we had a chance to slow down enough to think more about our lives. And a lot of people, for them, that meant they thought more about food. And like, are we just eating things that fill us up, or are we eating things that are actually helping with our health and making us feel good and supporting our communities? And I think that because of that shift in thinking that's happening for so many, there's like there's an unparalleled opportunity for food entrepreneurs right now, because you can sell things online and you can reach an entire market in Canada and US, wherever you want, and you can find your community locally, you can find it across North America. Like, you can really have any food product out there do well if you want to expand your community, or if you want it to be small. But there's such an opportunity, because people are, we lost that. We lost our connection with food. We tried to get so convenient and so cheap and so fast. We
More
lost
for
it,
less.
and people are thinking about that more. So there's this unbelievable opportunity.
I think the other ingredient that we don't talk about ever is the vitality, is the vital life force of food. It's like, first of all, a living food will have a living microbiome. And so the microbiome is one of the things that we need. Then we got sauerkraut.
That's right.
Listen, when I put out the next ad for the sauerkraut class, I'm going to say anybody who's got a digestive issue that needs to improve their microbiome needs to learn how to make sauerkraut. Because that is like step one. You can go to kimchi next. You can go to like a whole bunch of different ways. And in northern climates where we have a winter, that's what we need to get through winter, is a fermented food, not shipped from Mexico food, right? It's suspended animation. We're going to force it to ripen. We're going to prevent it from ripening. And now I find at the grocery store, the things that you buy that rot, they just rot weird. It's like they still look perfect, and then you can put your finger right through, right? So they are doing things to our food to make it look like food, but it's all a trick. It's all a trick. And so we need to be the people who shed the light on that differently. Whoever, I just think that there are so many problems with our food system that it should be easy to pick one problem that resonates with you to solve it, and people will just reward you with money for helping them understand that their life will be better, because it's the individuals that are suffering.
Yeah.
And if they want to not be suffering, then they have to make some different choices. We can educate them about what those choices could and should look like. But they always go back to a farmer, and they always go back to a more diverse food system. And a livingness, the aliveness of food, how fresh is it? Like this tomato I picked in my garden with a headlamp a few nights ago before it frost, and they've been sitting in my living room, not my living room, my kitchen, in flat trays and ripening. And now as they ripen, I pull them off of that, and then I go into the processing bucket, because this tomato is going to be giving me so much more life force than anything shipped and suspended animation from anywhere else.
It's tomato shaped.
As a chef, we call it truck ripening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I ask my producers and my people, because I also part of camp, and my lifestyle is, if I can't get, minus spices and specialty items, if I can't get it within 100 kilometers, I'm not buying it. See,
That's perfect.
yeah,
Because you'd be surprised how much you can get within 100 kilometers.
and listen, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm so perfect. I'm not perfect.
No.
When it's February and I can't get anything from anywhere, I'm buying the American lettuce. I'm buying, the South African grapes, which, are really good. And they're oranges, because we can't grow oranges. The South African oranges, they definitely beat any Florida orange out there. I'm just putting that out there. But it's true that, we have gone away from, when I was a kid, my parents, my stepmom and my aunts would ferment lots of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we used to have a thing called a crock pickle. And this pickle was just like this big old ceramic tub that had small cucumbers, lots of salt, and vinegar, and it would just sit in there, and it would foam up, and it would do its own thing. But man, when you ate it, you felt better the next day.
Right?
So
it's the pickle you're eating, or it's creating like that
Well,
fermenting environment?
Both. You would eat the pickle, like a pickle,
Yeah.
and then let's say she was making salad dressing, she would dip in, grab that vinegar, and make a thing. Or if she was making, coleslaw is basically the one that I remembered, because the salty pickledness of it in the coleslaw was, but that's what I mean, like, there's so many people that are buying flats of strawberries from California or wherever, And they're like, oh, the strawberry's so good. I'm like, it's not good.
Tastes
The
like
outside
a
is
strawberry.
red, the
Yeah.
inside is white, it's hard like cardboard, and it tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, give it
That's
some
so
sugar.
true.
No thanks. I don't want that. Where I take my strawberries, I shove them in a baggies, and I freeze them. Who cares? I went to Ruby's or whatever, Bolio, I went and picked them up and I threw them in my freezer because I knew that in the middle of February I would want something. And what a lot of people don't realize and understand is if you freeze your berries whole, like take the husks off them and just freeze them whole and let them defrost at room temperature. Don't put them in the fridge. Let them defrost at room temperature. It'll go back to its regular shape and you can just eat. There's nothing better than eating well. Yeah, and it's sweet. Yeah, there you go. And the water that comes at the bottom from defrosting, because there's always going to be a little bit of, now listen, the strawberry's going to be a bit softer, it's not going to be hard, but it still keeps its shape and it still tastes just as sweet. And the liquid that I have underneath, I take it and I have like a jar and I call it my strawberry syrup. And whenever I'm making cakes or whatever, and I just put it in between versus putting in the jam. You know, like everything has a purpose. There's nothing that I don't cook that I don't use 100% of effort with. And I think that's the one part that people need to understand, that if you don't use it all, put it in your freezer. Like we go fishing and we got some a local pike out of the Ramsey Lake. I filleted it, so the head went to my garden because it needs the nitrates. You know what I mean? I try to get, and I put all my fish guts and bones and stuff like that in the fall in my garden. I never put it in the beginning because it causes maggots and those things like that, right? But I put it in the fall, and I put it on top so that the snow and the rain and the defrost breaks it down faster, and my dirt is eating it quick. Do you know what I mean? So that way every year I have rejuvenated soil. And I don't have to go buy, you know, manure from this one and buy some stuff to, hey, get out of here. You know what I mean? I might as well just spray my stuff. You know, that's not what I want. But I think, you know what? Part of our mentorship for people who want to do food, I think is one thing that I think every kid should do is be on a farm for at least 2 weeks.
Yes.
Be on a farm. I don't care if you're raising or if you're planting or harvesting, but live on that farm and understand where food comes from. And then you'll be like, oh, this bread that took you 4 hours, thank you. It's so much better. This jam that took you 3 days to organize and get your, you know, stuff together to make, thank you, because I understand where it comes from. And when you see the jar for $6, you're like, oh, that's so cheap. Versus, oh my God, that's $6. Oh, I can get that for $2. But can you? You know, like shame on you for even thinking
And also,
like
I
that.
feel like this is such a great conversation because we're in this way where we're beginning to understand to like just talking about sauerkraut because I just learned not long ago about like the gut microbiome and what that. So then I'm like starting to explore like, oh, I need probiotics. So the first thing you think about is go to the grocery store. There's that. Yeah, but this is like way better for me. So a lot of people are beginning to want to understand what can make me feel better without having to take a pill. So
And even probiotics, I always, when I sell probiotics to people, I say like, this is not your solution. This is like, you're planting a garden. And if you don't have any food for those microbes to live on, they're gonna disappear. You'll be taking probiotics for your whole life and you're never gonna be healthier because they're just gonna move away and die off. So what you need to do is give your microbiome things to eat. So this food is not for you, this food is for your microbiome. And you're injecting your microbiome and the food for the microbiome into your body when you eat this. So it's like, who's the food for? Is it for you? Some of it. Is it for your microbiome? Yes. Are we feeding our microbiomes enough? No. So we can plant a garden, right? I've got some really beautiful probiotics. We'll start you here, we'll expand your network, but then you have to do the work of, I gotta buy food that's alive.
Yeah.
I gotta buy a wide variety of foods. I have to make sure that I'm eating fiber, things like that. So, you know, how do we turn these observations into business ideas? This is the role of the entrepreneur. And this is where society is grateful. Because when we have a solution to our problem where we can be healthier, happier, more vitality, better quality of life, then the whole culture is better. If the individuals in the culture are better and healthier, then the whole culture is better. And we have a lot of problems, and so we just have to look around. You know, some problems are really hard to solve. Like, I wish I knew how to solve addiction. We have no idea how to solve that right now. But somebody needs to think about it and find an answer. But food-wise, we have a lot of good solutions, and there's a lot more people to jump into the space now.
And they're always so focused on dieting anyway.
You're like,
Oh,
that's
like,
like-
there's so much
Ridiculous
more to health.
idea.
You know, there's so much more to health.
It's the most ridiculous idea. Listen, we can all tell that I'm part of the Kirby Club. And part of being part of the Kirby Club is that everybody feels that I eat poorly. Oh, she's big, she eats poorly. No one ever thinks it's the gene factor. No one ever thinks, you know, it's there's other things going on. It's just, oh, that's a pop and chip body right there. And that's fine, they can think that all they want. But what I want to say is part of one of my successes of teaching is in the past 2 summers, I had 6 19, 20-year-old young ladies who, let's face it, the only power that a 12 to 25-year-old woman has, besides moving out and doing that thing, the only power they have is over what they eat, how they eat, when they eat, and the choices in which they make for their bodies, which creates lots of food anxieties. It creates lots of poor choices, emotional eating. There's lots of external factors, knowledge, the internet, your parents, what they're telling you, your grandparents, what they're telling you. Like, all of this eats at them, okay? So these 6 girls who I taught in the last, all were bulimic, anorexic, food calorie counters, and all of this stuff, and lived on bars and shakes, and here comes me, you know, who I love every inch of this beautiful body of mine, and I'm just like, what's wrong with you? Let's sit down and let's talk about why you're giving so much power to food, because it's never the food that is the issue. Tell me what is making you so food nervous. Tell me what food makes you the most nervous, and let's get over it. And I can honestly say that within the last 2 seasons, 8 months, I've had 6 of them come up to me and cry and hug me and thank me and say, thank you for believing me, thank you for teaching me. They don't eat bars, they don't count calories, they take big plates of food now, not overeating, but half of it's salad, there's proteins, there's, you know what I mean? And there's good carbs on their thing. It's not white pasta, white bread, you know what I mean? Granola bars, it's rice, it's quinoa, it's bean salad, it's those things. So this is where I think, you know, those, and yes, boys go through it, but not as much. Not as much. The girls will nitpick their brains to be like, if I eat better, if I am skinny, I am happy. And I hate destroying that thought of theirs, but I kill it right away. I'm like, skinny's not happy, buddy. Sorry to break it to you. And being fat's not happy either. Being happy is a completely different subject. And don't put all your happiness on a plate.
And that's like really great to just like even thinking about like weight loss business and understanding to eat food, because if somebody like Rochelle, you took your knowledge as a pharmacist and understanding like what was happening with food, different meds and stuff like that. So now if somebody like again come from somebody I used to.
It's all good.
You want to subscribing to the diet culture? Like a lot up until a
We've
little
all
long
done
ago, where I was just like, I just want to be. I remember talking to Karen and Charles. I'm just like, I want to sit and just eat. I want to go back to a place where I just enjoy eating, and that's what I've been doing, and I love it. However, I think it's very crucial for somebody to stand and say, okay, how about you understand your food? Because I think that's what it's about. just understand that not eating is not what's gonna make you a certain way,
Right.
because it's something you raised about genetics and stuff that we're all built differently, and that's okay.
And the other things, there's a few other key things that have shifted in the culture. So every culture has an example of saying grace, you know? We've sort of lost that. I mean, I didn't grow up in a culture where we sat at a table and said grace. But if you actually work on a farm or live on a farm and produce food, it's like, yeah, you're grateful that you have this food. So let's just start with gratitude, right? Oh my God, we actually have food and it tastes delicious. So let's be grateful. And let's think about when you're cooking food, your digestion starts when you smell it, right? Your digestion starts when you smell it, the amylase in your mouth starts going, you're salivating, you're preparing your body for receiving nutrients. Your body's going, okay, food's coming in. Okay, food's coming in, let's get ready. We gotta be absorbing, right? We're gonna be absorbing.
Right?
But then if we're in a relaxed environment with friends, laughing while we're eating, we have a much different biochemistry in our body happening versus I'm rushing to get the kid to baseball. I'm going through Tim Hortons drive-through. I haven't smelled it cooking. It's actually been made in industry somewhere far away. I'm shoveling it in my mouth as fast as I can, and I'm not consciously eating. I'm not participating with a microbiome because there's nothing living in any of that stuff. Really, that's making us stronger and healthier. And so like there's quite a few things. And I think another business niche that needs to be filled is all these people who are newly alone. Like the new widowers and the new widows, or the new people, their kids have left now. They're gone to live in some other city, and now, you know, you don't even feel like cooking anymore. And so, you know, one of the things we're gonna play with this fall is like a singles club or something so that people
How to
can
cook for one.
how to cook for one. So, you know, and it'll be like every Tuesday, whatever the
Students,
quiet day is in here, you know.
seniors.
We're gonna do, if you're single and you wanna figure this out, register so we know what we're gonna do that day, but then people can maybe make a new friend and learn how to cook for one, because cooking for one is really difficult if you've been cooking for, like, I've got a family of 6. So when my nest is empty, I don't know, I'll cook for you.
You can come to my class.
Like, I don't think, I love cooking so much that I'm never gonna be one of the people that's just gonna not eat or just eat
I
tea
feed
and
my
toast.
neighbors.
But there's a lot of people who don't know what to do and eat alone. And so that would be a good problem to solve for our society. is to- How to
Right?
grocery
Like
shop.
it's a new thing when
That's
you're
true,
suddenly
but also, you know,
not.
even just the simple, and like, I'm like guilty because I get moments where I'm like, I'm overwhelmed, and there's some people that I'm starting to see, like catering businesses, where I'm like, I worked all day, I picked up the kids from daycare, I get home, and now I'm like,
I'm done. I don't know energy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just there. I
Who
got
wants to
nothing
get
in
up
me.
at 6 in the morning and set up a crock pot? Listen, maybe once a month I'll do it. I'm
Not every day.
right. Get out of here. It's not gonna happen.
You know what I do? Honestly, I get home at 7 and then I start cooking. Because I used to have my kids trained to like try to cook something. Now they gave up. So now I eat at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So this is one of the reasons, right? Maybe I'm weighing more than I should, is because I'm not getting along in a fasting period. Because most people eat at 5 or 6. Now I'm eating at 9 or 10.
Right.
You know, and then I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, and man, you get home, right? I'm trying to cook, but they're so hungry
Yeah.
that they
Yes.
cannot wait for me to do all
And you're not
these things. So I was like,
enjoying
I'm gonna
cooking.
eat cereal. So by the time
but-
I'm done, come and eat.
They're not hungry for dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like you, my 8-year-old comes home, like I've said before, they come in, they're starving. So now what I've done is that, you know, I hate popping the name, I'm gonna say it, Tupperware has like a sectional, like, you know, the fruit and veggie tray you could bring to people's houses?
Yes.
So they have a smaller version, has 5 compartments. I put in 3 fruit, 1 nut, and 1 cheese, and it's done at 2 in the morning, and I put it in the fridge. So when she comes home from school, she goes to the fridge and she eats this, and it buys me 2 hours. So I have time to wind down from my day, because like I just want to take off, you know, and
Get into your duster.
just, you know, get into my duster, and I want to create a better meal. I don't just want to
Yes.
fry up a pork chop and some French fries and call it a day. And here you ate, go to bed, we're good. Tomorrow's school. Listen, you've had your fruits, so I'm not worried about giving that to you. I'm not worried about the fruit and vegetable content on my table. Now, let's get to protein in you. Let's get a vegetable in you. It could be 7 o'clock at night, bedtime's at 9. There's still enough time for shower, homework, And then after school, I don't bug her about anything. Here's the remote controller, your tablet, game, and here's your snack. Just relax, wind down from your day, because like you, I want to wind down from my day, right? And if I don't give her that space, if we don't give our kids that space to wind down, how are we ever going to teach them self-care? How are we ever going to teach them that don't wait till you're starving to eat? But with the school system, we don't have a choice because they're on a regimen.
For sure. And even us as parents and stuff, we are like on a thing where I'm just like, I'm giving myself permission that if there's somebody who can take that as a business to say, hey, I will prep your meals for 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, and they're healthy and they're all the good stuff, then I'm willing to spend the money because then it's not giving me that day where I get I'm just gonna lay down back.
Yeah.
And there's such an opportunity there. Like there's a few local meal prep services, but it's such an unmet market.
It's not met
Like,
because there's
you
so
get-
many different, because everybody makes different foods.
Yes. So you try this guy, try that guy, but also, you know, the bigger, like the chef's plate and the good food, you get them and it's like your egg is in 5 different plastic packaging and your green onion is in 6 different plastic and it's like, this is insane. But to have, you know, a local option where they're bypassing that whole environmental disaster and saying, you know, like this week we've got food from Gina's kitchen.
Yes.
Next week we've got food from like there's so much room, you know, like there's so much room.
The other thing, one of the untapped things that is here in town is,
I'm like, okay,
I don't want to start, I wanted.
You're in the mood.
He's like, well, they were on sale. Look, they're only $1.99. I'm like, I don't care what the price is. I don't need 6 tubs of ice cream.
I don't like the
He
way
doesn't-
of
he's not allowed to
shopping.
shop.
That we buying what we don't need. So
Yeah, stuff you don't
But
Yeah.
a great workshop idea too, that's a lost skill, is knowing how to keep your produce fresh longer.
Oh,
People
gosh.
don't know what goes in the fridge, what doesn't go in the fridge, which things you shouldn't store together.
Yes.
It makes such a difference in saving money and not wasting.
Or fridge management, right? Like,
Yeah.
these are the leftovers in my fridge. We call it fridge magic here, all the pancakes. I mean, all of us who are here, listen, we're running a food business with fresh food. Like, it's really hard to guess who's gonna buy what this week. So we always have something that's like sort of beyond when it's best or approaching that. So we put a kitchen in here to process all that because we knew going in, we're gonna have high shrink. We call that shrink. How do we manage our shrink? Well, we have a commercial kitchen, so we can process it into something later. So right now, so our chef was away all summer at kids camp. So our freezer is full of things that came to their best in the summer. So there's strawberries in there, there's crab apple juice that when we had the press here for Apple Fest, so it's in bags, so we can make a lot of things with all of these ingredients that we sort of semi-processed here for the fridge magic to happen. And so in some of our ideas, we want to build charcuterie boards, for example, for the Christmas parties. People can come and buy the boards. So we have a wood guy. He made planks for us. We have the cheese from up north. We're going to make little jams in these little jars and put them on we made apple syrup, which is just boiling down apple cider until it's thick. So like we are going to have really interesting local ingredients, and now we have to spread the message to marketing that we're going to have like the best charcuterie board in Sudbury will be from here, because we have like cool stuff. Like we have wild forage things, right? This lavender tea that somebody brought me, and I know what lavender tea is, so I can tell what it is. And y'all, not from around here, have never had Labrador tea before, so it's really interesting that we're going to share this really interesting, delightful food that you just can't buy anywhere.
That's so special, right? Like, I think
can't
about
get it anywhere.
gifting, and I'm like, you know, this year I'm like, I have this whole plan, and who knows what'll happen, but I'm like, I'm gonna make some elderberry syrup, and that's what I'm gonna give people.
What a
Because I'm
beautiful
tired
thing.
of shopping for stuff nobody needs that I don't really want to buy and they don't really care about, and I'm like, you know, let's like eat that in the home. Where
I said I need to be on your Christmas list.
oh,
One of the best Christmas gifts I ever got was from Mare, and she grew her garden, and in her garden she grew red peppers, and what she did is she just roasted them, threw them in a jar, like sliced them up, threw them in a jar like this with some olive oil. Oh my God, thank you. How much time that took for this kind of gift to get? Do you know what I mean? Like,
the intention.
yeah,
Yeah,
like you thought of me while doing this. And that gift tasted 1,000 times better than any can or jar I could have opened it in. You know, like I think gift giving is great, but I think gift giving of your talents and of your hard-earned work is huge. And just to go back to our original subject of entrepreneuring and cooking and stuff like this, if I could give one piece of advice to a young entrepreneur, a young person who wants to be their own business and who wants to thrive in this community, especially here in Sudbury, Northern Ontario, doesn't matter where you come from, pick something that you know and pick something that you love, so that if you make 500 jars of it, you are happy to eat all 500 jars, because when you go to sell it, you're giving a piece of your heart and your hard-earned work to that person, and you want to say to somebody, this is not just blueberry jam. This is my grandma's recipe. This is my neighbor's blueberries. The product needs a story. If the product doesn't have a story, you're going nowhere. It's wasting time, it's wasting money. Don't do it. Get a job.
And don't sacrifice, like if it's supposed to be.
Get a job.
Yeah, no, that's right. And don't sacrifice a key element because you think it's too expensive and nobody will want to pay for it.
They'll pay.
People, you need to get in your head that you're not competing with Walmart. Okay, you're competing with
No one.
no one. And so if it costs you whatever it costs you to make it the way your grandmother made it, and the one that you're proud of, then you should make it that way. And then you should charge what it's worth. And then you might have a hard time with sales at the beginning. Like, it's gonna be a slog because that word of mouth is gonna take longer, because only now the people who can afford it or want to give it to you, they're gonna be fewer than just the mass. But those people will be loving you and committed to you forever. It'll be a fan for life, right? And so I just encourage you that we think hard about how we price things around here, because we know how much love and effort it takes. And I don't apologize, about it.